Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Blue Spot 7-year-old, 58.9% ABV. Dustin, one of our subscribers was telling us about this one. It came out here in Ohio and thought we should pick it up. There's a lot of hype around this bottle. What can you tell me about it, my friend?
So this is kind of the big, super hyped Irish whiskey. I think in the bourbon drinking world, this has become kind of their Elijah Craig barrel proof for a lot of people. Because apparently, I guess, Redbreast 12 Cask Strength was too easy to get, so they needed something harder. So this is the third batch that they've released. The initial batch, I know, had upwards of 22, 23-year-old whiskeys in it, Mike. I have had literally a drop of that batch one. I have a full ounce of it at home, but I literally tried a drop of it next to this one just to get an idea. There's definitely a difference in profile, but my guess is, if I had to guess, they've kept the old whiskey in this one, but they've lowered the proportions of it. It's my guess. For those wondering, bourbon, sherry butts, and madeira casks. I believe the madeira casks are the ones that are the ultra-aged ones. So, whereas the 7's probably the bourbon.
High ABV Cask Strength whiskey, Dustin. Always a good one. And I tell you what, I was a fan of the Gold Spot, my friend.
That was a surprisingly good one. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people who weren't as big of fans as we are.
Yeah.
Which was surprising to me because we're usually on the tougher, more critical side. So the fact that both of us liked it kind of surprised me.
Yes, I mean, to each their own. And obviously, people have different opinions about things. But yeah, usually we're rougher on most whiskeys than most people are.
Yeah.
But not on that one, apparently. Stand by what I said. I liked it.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm glad I bought it.
Sweet.
This is like chalky vanilla sherry. If that makes any sense to anybody. That's exactly what I'm getting, is a little chalky, vanilla, like smoked vanilla and sherry.
The sherry is very noticeable in this.
Yes.
And yeah, vanilla. I mean that's a common flavor I get in Irish whiskeys.
But it's like that kind of smoked, like it's almost like a powdered vanilla sugar kind of thing, where it's very airy.
Yeah, light.
Dried and chalky.
Very insubstantial. Yeah, powdered sugar on top of the pastry.
Definitely picking up on the oak note on here, which, again, 7 years, you're never sure what you're going to get when they say that. Again, we know there's older whiskey in here. We just don't know how old and what the proportions are, because batch 1, everybody got the details on. Batch 2 and 3, I've not heard any details.
Yeah, this definitely does not come off as old as the 9. The Gold Spot, that is.
I think they, honestly, on the nose, in fact, this actually has older whiskey in it than the 9 did.
I still think this comes off younger. It's a little snappier. Maybe it's the ABV.
I don't know. I think this is a higher proof, because the gold was, I think they slightly proofed it down to like 52.5 or something.
Something like that.
I actually think this is nosing as every bit as old. I would actually say that this comes off slightly older to me.
A little bit of golden wheat.
Yeah, there's definitely an earthy note here. I'm not getting a lot of the Irish pot still notes,
Agreed.
Which is kind of surprising. I'm not getting that spicy kind of snappiness. And I'm not getting that mid-nose where, like, there's a certain, like, tone of, like, oak and vanilla that I get on most Irish that's completely missing here on the nose.
Going in.
I think that higher proof is definitely doing something that's making it almost kind of hard to get to those notes, yet it doesn't come off as sharply alcoholic. It doesn't burn the nostrils. It comes off very refined. I mean, when you see that 7-year age statement, you get worried, but very refined given that age statement.
Ooh, spicy, stinging.
Very nice.
The sherry really kind of backs it up extremely quickly on the palate. Sachets into some kind of bland chocolate, I would say. And there's that sprinkle of vanilla on top.
Ooh.
Nice oak.
Yeah, that pot still spices in here.
Oh, that's the first thing I got. Ooh, that's spicy.
Yep. And now in the finish, I'm getting the Irish, that vanilla oak note that I get on every Irish. And I wish I had a better descriptor for you guys. It's almost like it's almost getting into like a toffee type thing. I mean, but it's just a soft, gentle oak that's coming off a little vanilla-y. And I get it on every Irish whiskey out of these pot stills. Now, I will say this, Mike, on the upfront arrival, though, for me, the sherry's there, but I'm getting much more of that Marsala and the vanilla from the bourbon cask. It reminds me a lot of like a really nicely done red wine infused ex-bourbon cask, kind of like the Green Spot Louisdale Barton we had.
Okay.
Not as jammy, mind you. That one a lot more jams, but the upfront arrival, I get a little bit of that sherry, but I get more of the Marsala, they're similar notes, but Marsala is lighter, it's a little oilier, and it's going to be it's not going to have
those darker flavors.
It doesn't have those dark fruits, but it has lighter dark fruits. I mean, it's still red wine. I mean, you're still getting red fruits.
Yeah, see, at first it was so spicy on that first, by the time my palate cut up to the spice, I was already on to kind of the late mid palate in the finish, where it kind of went vanilla on me.
I mean, I get the sherry too, so I mean, everybody's going to probably get this a little in a different waves than we are. But yeah, I mean, wow. Nice oiliness. I mean, big, bold. I will say I've had this twice. I had a couple pours and did some comparisons when I first cracked it open. And I had it one time after that, and I think I got an ounce of this for somebody because he hadn't had the batch 3. So, that's about probably 4 pours out of that thing.
I still say it comes off younger than the Gold Spot on the palate too. Maybe it's ABV driven.
For me, I think they're very similar. They both have some slight youthful notes to them. But this right now, today, for me, is drinking probably slightly older than Gold, because Gold always gives me a couple of sharp notes I find a little off-putting. Today's not doing that for me.
No, this is a simpler cask maturation. You got bourbon, sherry.
I think they used 4 on that one. This one's 3. So yeah.
Well, you use port in that other one. Anyway,
and we'd have to go, Mike. You can put in some descriptors here if you want, or I'll put it in a comment later. But
better for maybe a podcast. All right, I'll say with water, I actually sweetened it up a little more even, but it's pretty consistent. This is a little more straightforward than the Gold Spot, in my opinion. And another reason I keep harkening back to that is just because we had it recently, so just to compare it to something.
Comparisons are good.
Yeah, but the thing I like what's delivered. It's delivering a lot of that good vanilla oak from the bourbon cask. I love the cherry cask you're doing, and just the traditional, Irish whiskey, the spiciness, the whole pot still thing.
Legs aren't doing anything exceptional. I mean, they're good, but they're just not wowing me.
Yeah, I think as far as the ABV, the 58.9, you get a little bit of the alcohol kick. I believe it from that perspective, but it does come off a little thin from the viscosity. I think we just had a 42.1% whiskey that I think had more viscosity on the palate.
That's kind of an Irish pot still thing.
Agreed.
Because it has that really spicy bite on the finish, so you can't pick up the oiliness. I actually think it's a very oily whiskey overall. Now for cask strength, best of the world, is it ECBP? No, it's not quite that oily. But I think it's above average on the oils.
I can tell why people
just
like this.
The pot still.
Yeah, I can tell why people like this though.
Yeah, it's punchy.
Yeah.
It's big, bold.
Sweet.
It's refined enough. It's very sweet.
That vanilla is nice.
And it's not, it's got a long finish. It's that spicy. It's probably the longest finished whiskey we've had today. Really nice. That spice lingers. I wish it did a few more things or it transitioned on the finish.
It was
really nice. Well done.
There is a bit of you see what you get, or you get what
you see.
Get what you see, right?
Yeah. So Mike, I'm just gonna jump in here. I'm gonna give this an 87. I was 86, 87 in my head here. Give it an 87, which is kind of my standard of solid, well done whiskey, worth about $100, and that's dead on what this is.
Yeah, I was at 86 before you jumped ahead of me and went to 87. But we're in the same ballpark. I mean, it's solid whiskey. Yeah, what was it, about $95 here in the club?
About 100 on the spot. Just, I can't remember if it was 95 or 105. It was one of those two.
Yeah, that's about right.
No, it may have been a few bucks more than I think about it because inflation has unfortunately hit everything.
But I will say this. I don't mind that price, especially with the ABV.
No, under 150, I think you're fine on this bottle. Under 150, I think you're okay. I think you're getting what you're paying for. Anything over that,
bit much.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try the 7-year-old Blue Spot, let us know what you think, especially if you had a chance to try this batch 3. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.